What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Martian and Ozzy podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about the UFC 296 pay-per-view going down this weekend from Las Vegas. Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington, and in the co-main event, a rematch for the flyweight championship between Alexandre Pantoja and Brandon Royval. It also marks our 100th episode where I'm joined by my man Ozzy to discuss these fights. And it's been a pleasure having my man with me along this road, along this long and fortuitous road at times. But yeah, he's definitely elevated the podcast, brought a lot of new viewers to the forefront. So I appreciate him for that. And I'm joined by him once again here for the 100th time. How we doing this week, my man?
Hola, amigos, the century mark. I saved you guys from those long, ominous monologues of one Pennsylvania resident, John Martian. And yeah, we're off that, China, Vegas card. We're here, last event of the year, numero 100. We'll see if we're coming back for, season, I guess, 3, if we'll be renewed for 2024. But we're trying to go out on a bang and hopefully with maybe some new champions, but overall top to bottom filled slate. And I'm looking forward to media day, to the press conference, and all that comes with it.
Yeah, you won't be seeing Ian Gary at that press conference. Ian Machado Gary.
No. I think he didn't go to the media day. Press conference is tomorrow.
No, he officially said he's not going to either.
He said he's not going to the press conference?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's true that the Machado, I'm just realizing
No.
what
That part is not true. My understanding. No, it's not true.
What about it? The ex-husband?
The guy, his name was not Machado, the ex-husband. The ex-husband was some British dude. He wasn't.
Really?
He doesn't have. Yeah, she's like half Brazilian, so I think Machado is like maybe from her dad's side or some shit like that, and she had like another last name. But either way, is weird. But yeah, go ahead. Give us your opinion, Marcia. Your opinion is probably more spicy. Go ahead.
Well, I personally I'm not a fan of the guy, but my man Joseph Coco is a big fan of him and has met him in person, and he was very cool.
Met him. I met him as well. I met him the time when he knocked out Jordan Williams, the day that she was wearing like fucking athletic tape as her dress, like just covering her nipples and like like a fucking you'll see the picture. But anyway.
Interesting. Yeah, you're right though. She was born with the last name Machado, to be fair.
There you go. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Ian in a little bit. Last week, pretty mediocre week of bets for me. And I'll leave it at that. Just didn't track much, but lost 3 out of 4. So,
I hate it when it happens.
Any recap from you?
Yeah, solid card. Up about 2 units on it. Biggest bet was Kevin Juicette. Unfortunately, dropped a unit with like Park. That Park decision, I disagreed with it. I thought Park should have won the fight. Malarkey was the only bet that I regret. And then we got good decisions, fortunately, with Santos and Alan Carr. So I can't really complain that much about the Park decision. It's mostly like if you bet 3 of those like that and you get 2 out of the 3 decisions, like it's honestly good. So I'm not as upset. So I didn't go as big as you did on them, but there was some good live numbers. But I just felt like that fight, if you score round 1, is easy. Like even though there is nuance in it, to me it's an easy fight to score because if you're gonna give Park round 1 or round 3, you got to give him the other one. In my opinion, like it didn't make sense. Or especially if you give him round 1. He definitely won round 3 then, if that's the case. And that was not the case on the final scorecard. That was one of the guys gave fucking Muniz round 1, 2, and 3. That shit makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean,
it's either Muniz round 1 and 2 or fucking Jung Young Park won the fucking fight. Cocksuckers ruining my boy Iron Turtle's Christmas, bro. What the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, Park definitely won the first and the third. He just, I mean, it's hard to get too outraged because of it. Because, like you said, we got a little lucky early in the card. we got a little lucky
No,
early in the card
Uh,
with Alan
talking about
Card,
half his paycheck.
and he won't let this deter him. So hopefully we get a better line on
Run
him in his next fight or something. But
it back. Run it
enough
back.
about last week. We got a lot of fights to get through this week. We got a pretty stacked pay-per-view main card, a few good prelims as well. So we're gonna get right into these fights. The first fight is an original UFC title fight. You don't get too many of those these days. First time this is happening. Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington for the welterweight championship. The champion Leon is defending -170. A lot of steam on Leon Edwards. Colby Covington has been shot up to +145. So your turn to start this one off. Let's hear your thoughts on the main event first for a change.
Yeah, low key, obviously, or maybe not obvious, but a lot of times when they're British, fighters up top billing, they end up getting wagered on. That's the case here with Leon Edwards. It was the case with Tom Aspinall, Patty, Molly McCann, for God's sakes. I remember when Molly McCann was a favorite against Larissa Procopio, and people were like, when it started going the other direction, the Brits came, they're like, he's gonna kill her. Definitely did not happen. Or even against like Aaron Blanchfield. So but I mean, obviously, there's credence to why you would bet on Leon, right? Oh, maybe he passed his test already, Kobe's inactivity, all these kinds of things. Me personally, I like Kobe Covington in this fight. Now, Kobe is the kind of guy where he has this style where right when he was in the UFC, like early on in the UFC career, he would have been a tough for most people to handle. But he didn't have the style that people really wanted to see. So they don't push guys like that. It's like Danny Sabatello, right? Danny Sabatello probably could have been high ranking in the UFC bantamweight division, but they didn't like his fucking style, so they didn't even sign him. And look what happened to him in Bellator. Like, did anything really good happen? I mean, other than the Rafi Sauce beef, like the guy's fights are boring. Like that's like the promotion side of things. So with Colby, why I'm bringing this up is I just think that him, no matter when he fights Leon Edwards, unless he's significantly deteriorated, is going to be a tough fight for Leon Edwards. Now, Leon, his a lot of his wrestling responses still are not the best. There's like certain points where he does like some like spins to get away from Kamaru. Sometimes when he's like he's kind of like up on like one leg up in the air and he's kind of like leaning on the fence. And he was fortunate that Kamaru couldn't scoop him up. Colby is a much better leg wrestler and a mat wrestler. He knows how to put you down, keep you down, the angles to kind of like push you in, and then the riding areas as well. So like places where Leon was kind of like sitting against the fence, and then he would like kind of just fight off Kamaru's hands and then get back up to his feet. Colby is he's mixing in that Dagestan style when they're dragging your legs out, they're freaking hooking in, riding you. Kamaru Usman really has never been such a fighter. And I just think on the feet, the fact that they're both same stance is going to take away a lot of the advantages that Leon does with the left kick. He always kicks the dick and the balls. When someone kicks you in your balls, you're gonna be more hesitant and you're looking to drop your hands, and that's how these guys are like head kicking you and doing all that stuff. So I think Colby gets his ground game going, takes Leon down, avoids big shots, and becomes a new champion. Maybe Leon gets it back from him, honestly, but I'm riding Colby, especially at these dog odds. I liked him at +110. I'll eat him. I'll take him all day at 145. Let's go. And new.
110, Dan, that's some big time negative CLV there, but oftentimes that doesn't matter in this here game of ours. I think the lines are looking pretty accurate for the fight. The money line that goes the distance at around 65%. I think that might even be the most valuable bet on the card or on the fight because I just really see this one going the distance. Obviously, Colby winning and getting his game going is correlated to going the decision because he just can't establish good positions in anybody. He doesn't do damage in his fights. He kind of just holds you against the cage and that, gets that one hook in and kind of just, tries to
He bullies you, lad. and we're gonna bully him.
Yeah, well, by land, yeah, like a schoolyard bully, like putting you in like a headlock and giving you like a noogie or something. That's kind of his fighting style. So
Coming to you.
he gets that one hook in and just does that like shit where he attempts like he's going for a rear naked choke. And I mean, I get that the number is to some is enticing. I get that people don't like Leon, but Colby, humping his way to a one-legged decision riding victory sounds absolutely horrible to me. So I'll definitely be cheering for Leon. I hope he wins the fight. And just going back and rewatching that Usman fight, man, really impressive how he dealt with the defensive grappling there. And in the first fight, way back in the day, he showed some signs of being able to escape. The second fight in Utah, he didn't really escape any positions on the ground there. He was just constantly pinned against the fence, taken down. And then the third fight, you just saw him stuff takedowns, get up from takedowns, get pushed against the fence for a little bit, and then he dug under hooks and got off the fence. And I just thought it was really impressive how every time Usman pinned him to the fence or took him down briefly, he was right back up and he was separating back a distance, 30, 45 seconds later. So I just think that his defensive grappling has been really, sharply tuned. And I think that it's going to translate well to this fight because I rate Usman as a better fighter and wrestler. So I think that he's, very well equipped to deal with that style again here in Colby. And his strikes just look on point there. Those knees up the middle, the body kicks from the southpaw stance were really sharp. And I think both of these guys' style is like inherently a little close rounded, like Colby, he doesn't do damage. So like his rounds are going to be controlling. So that doesn't give him a big round margin. And then Leon might spend his back to the fence for some of these rounds and then separate and land some strikes, but not like the most devastating strikes. He doesn't throw a ton of punches to the head. He does a lot of body work. So I think both these guys have the ability to have like close rounds. So I just see this one being a fairly competitive decision that Leon just lands the better strikes, escapes positions at key times, and uses his recency, the fact that the guy's actually been fighting. He's put in 10 rounds since Colby's last fought, almost 2 years since Colby fought. His last wins, Masvidal, Woodley, Robbie Lawler. I mean, none of those guys even still fight in the UFC.
Legends,
The last
legends, three
time
legends,
the
three
last time
legends,
well, no, Woodley's
three
not a legend.
legends. Willie
And
is
Ma
a legend.
no.
Willie is a
Um,
legend. He's got more defenses than
the
Leon. He's got
Lawler
more
the
titles.
Lawler fight the Lawler fight was actually, I think is still impressive in
Legend,
retrospect, but those other
legend.
2 fights I think mean very little. And the last time he beat an active fighter was RDA back 5.5 years ago, who's a career lightweight as well. So,
Perfect,
um,
perfect.
yeah, I just think
Now he's gonna be Leon Edwards. What are they gonna say
it'll
now?
be Leon
What are they
Leon
gonna say
decision
after he does that?
by 49-46 on one card and then 2 48-47s for Leon. So
There's no way that Leon's gonna be winning a championship round here. It's not happening.
So that's going to bring us to the co-main event, the flyweight rematch between Alexander Pantoja, Brandon Royval. Odds for this one: Toja minus 190, Royval plus 160. Their first fight, a good one, competitive at times, but Pantoja was able to take Royval down early. Royval did a good job avoiding Pantoja getting the hooks in. He was just constantly moving and scrambling on bottom to get back to the feet. And Royval's landing some strikes, pumping out volume, throwing some good hands to the head and body. They looked to make Pantoja uncomfortable. Pantoja was retreating. He was getting hit. His body language looked bad. But then he would also fire back a big right hand. And because Royval has terrible boxing defense, he was getting tagged and hit by those punches, and they were
Mhm,
affecting him. And then in the
mhm,
second round, where I remember the odds vividly, that the Royval was a minus 190 favorite going into the second round.
mhm.
Pantoja just gets one back take or one takedown, one back take. He gets the second hook in, and he taps Royval right away. So the first round, he wasn't able to get the hook in, but then Toja got the hook
Quick,
in the second round, and then it was like 20 seconds later,
pretty
he was
quick.
tapping out. He was
He
tapping
was
out.
done. He was
Yeah.
done.
Okay, it'll be your turn in a little bit, so just, settle down there.
Mhm,
Um, I was thinking, going into this fight that I was gonna pick Royval. I think he looked better
mm.
lately. We got beat on, Nicolau. He starched Nicolau, pretty easily. Just a nasty knee up the middle there. And I was thinking I was gonna go Royval, but then rewatching their first fight, man, and just going the fight with, Bontorin also is a big one. Royval, man, he sucks at wrestling. He gets taken down so easily. He gets put on bottom, and his striking, he just gets hit, man. This guy's got no defense. He doesn't see punches coming at him. So Royval can have some success standing here. I do think that those kicks, knees, and long punches can give Pantoja problems. But with the reliable wrestling and back take game of Pantoja, I just think it's a matter of time before he gets a good takedown, gets that second hook in, and he might tap Royval just like he did the first time, or he might just ride out those back takes and win rounds that way. So I think it'll probably be like a Pantoja sub in the second or third for a pretty similar outcome to the last time. But I'm Royval's grown on me. Seeing him win the belt, I don't think would be the worst thing. I think it would provide for an entertaining championship run. So I would be happy with either guy winning here. I really like this matchup. Excited we're getting to see it. And who you got here?
Yeah, so I was initially committed to just taking whoever you didn't take, right? So just going opposite you. But man, dude, I just can't pick Brandon Royval. Just can't do it, man. I was thinking of it, and then I'm kind of just trying to consider as well, like, the last fight, the Pantoja fight against Moreno. I thought Pantoja was gonna lose that fight a few different times, but he just kept digging deep and finding a takedown, doing what he had to do. Obviously he did take some damage there, but I think he should be okay for this fight. And Brandon Royval, I just feel like I said, man, I feel like a lot of the stuff that he does is just lucky. I feel a lot of the ground game that he puts out there is just BS. It's just like spin around, hope like you'll find a submission or that the guy can't hold on to you for too long or can't get a better position. Uh, and like you said, on the feet, it's not like this guy is like a pinpoint striker. He doesn't really use his movement very well defensively. He kind of looks to put strikes, big strikes that you run into out there for the most part, and then he looks to grapple you. But it's just him looking to go for like guillotines or looking to spin and scramble with Pantoja. I just don't see how that goes well for him. And Pantoja's cardio looked great in that Moreno fight. That was the biggest thing for me. Seeing him go five, and Royval, he hasn't really. I mean, I think his cardio is okay, but then he also did on embedded. I don't know if you saw Martian. He did 10 miles, like he did like a 10-mile run, like mile high. But he said, dude, that he did it in like 6 minutes 30 seconds, and I don't know, dude.
An average?
That, yeah, dude. I
That's
don't
fair.
really believe him.
Sounds unrealistic. Yeah.
Dude, that's it's not quite a half mile, but I know guys that they're decent runners, dude, and they're doing that at sea level at like 8 minutes, like 7:30. And he's telling me he's stopping to with the camera crew and all this bullshit. I don't believe him, dude. But either way, I just think that Pantoja's gonna put hands on him, and he's gonna keep his belt, and Colby will be the new champion. So technically, there'll be two champions in Florida.
Yeah, and then the ITD heavily juiced here, minus 550.
Royval, if Royval tires, dude, and he's getting grappled, he's getting submitted. Is
Yeah,
100%.
that's true. Yeah, I mean his defense to that rear naked choke just looked horrendous.
Dude, this guy's defense on bottom is go for a submission or give your back. And
Yeah.
that, guys, is not defense. Okay, if you didn't know. And right,
So
and I will say also, Pantoja showed some good ground and pound against Moreno. He was landing some good shots on him.
I rewatched that this week too, and a judge actually scored that 4-1 Moreno.
That
Like
was crazy. I
that.
was on Moreno. I was on Moreno, or I live bet him, and I was rooting for him. But by the end, I knew I was like, when he got taken down in the fifth round, especially, I was like, "There's no way you could win the fight." No,
Yeah, but that was an absurd scorecard. But
I
moving
agree.
on to a great fight in the welterweight division. Wonderboy Thompson at the ripe age of 40 years old, still taking on the top contenders, Shavkat Rakhmonov. And Shavkat's a huge favorite, minus 660, Wonderboy plus 485. Regardless of what happens, I think Wonderboy's got some fucking balls of steel to be accepting this fight, and I can't wait to see this one. So, what do you thinking happens here?
I mean, it's insane. Like, Wonder Boy literally picks up kids for an after school karate, dude. He drives the van. and he is showing up to fight this goat killer from Kazakhstan, trained by Henry Hoof, who it looks to me like Shavkat is like the guy that they're like, yeah, this is our next guy. Like I feel like Henry Hoof is like establishing that. Like Gilbert Burns, I feel like they're all kind of like accepting. They're like, yo, this dude trains with us. He's the next guy. And Ian Gary probably kind of caught that drift, and he was like, all right, I'm out of here. Peace. Um, yeah, so Shavkat, his last fight against Neil showed his chin because he got clobbered a few times there while he was looking to implement his game, and he's just weird that he has like that clinch game that he's throwing elbows in there, he's throwing like little knee, like constantly throwing like big knees, hiking up to the body, where it's like really hard to defend. I feel like sometimes people throw some wussy ass knees that like man maybe it hits you in like the hip or like your thigh or some shit. But Shavkat's like throwing those where like you either have to block them or even if you block them, they're hurting you. So Wonder Boy, his footwork is great, but if you saw in that Kevin Holland fight, he when he does start to fatigue, I feel like he's okay at keeping the work rate with the strikes. But I feel that just like what you saw in the Gilbert Burns fight and the Bilal Muhammad fight, when you get your hands on this kind of person in the later rounds, he's just not built to uh muscle endurance wise also be able to like stand up and fight back. So I feel that maybe we see some big strikes exchange in round one. But when round two and round three comes in, I feel that there will be some kind of clinch exchanges where Shavkat will drag him down and look to put some ground and pound or finish a submission on him. And I think that will happen.
So your pick is late 2-3 sub or something
My
like that?
pick is like round two submission for Shavgoat.
Yeah, I see the fight in a pretty similar way, and I'm just really impressed with Shavkat. I had a lot of questions about the guy going into the Jeff Neal fight, and he somehow managed to answer just about every question. Durability looked great, ate some huge punches, cardio looked great. Just some of the more extended areas of a fight that we hadn't seen him in, he looked great. And I'm a big fan of the guy. You were talking about the knees to the body, just like he throws them with, yeah, like some incredible intent, and like you just see when guys tie up. I mean, he rips those knees to the body. He threw so many elbows versus Jeff Neal, and uh, I mean, the guy is just he's good at distance. He's good in the clinch. He could take you down and submit you. I mean, this guy just seems like he's going to be an absolute problem, and I can't wait to see where he goes. And I think Wonder Boy will, like I just totally agree with what you said. Wonder Boy was probably gonna land some. They're gonna exchange in round one. But then once Shavkat starts going to that clinch and ripping those knees to the body and maybe mixing in some takedowns, I think he will start to look like the minus 600 favorite at times. And I'm just about to look up these lines for the sub here. Sub 2 or 3 plus 360 for Shavkat. So I don't think that's the greatest line, but um yeah, I mean, I think Shavkat will win the fight. I think it probably will be by finish, but where the line is at, minus 235, 70% for a finish here. I mean, how many times has Wonderboy been finished in his career? Like once or twice? Once he got knocked out.
Pettis.
Pettis,
Yeah,
that's the only
Pettis.
one. So the only time he's ever been knocked out in 19 UFC fights is one jumping out of nowhere huge punch. So I think 70% for Shavkat finish is pretty overrated. So, um, Ozzy, I'm getting some sort of feedback from you from your microphone. I don't know what noise you have going in the background, but we're moving on to the lightweight division here. We got Tony Ferguson, Paddy Pimblett, Paddy minus 320, Tony plus 260. Um, at one point in time, I was a Tony Ferguson fan, but somewhere along the line, it was before the Gaethje fight. I just knew that he would lose that fight, and ever since then, the guy's, been looking terrible, been taking damage, and I just decided that I want to see Tony hurt in there, and I've gotten that wish. I said before the Michael Chandler fight, I said that everyone in the surrounding rows around the ring should bring their baseball gloves so they can catch Tony's head when it gets decapitated, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, that's about as close to a dead body as we've ever seen in the octagon, and I just love that. And Paddy Pimblett stinks, and this guy is not really good at anything. But I hope he puts a beating on Tony here. And I just want to remind you guys that I put a link on Twitter about this about a month ago. But if you Google Tony Ferguson wife, I don't know, domestic violence or something like that, he didn't exactly hit his wife or anything, but this guy was totally schizophrenic almost 5 years ago. I'm talking like hearing wires in the wall, thinking people were coming after him. He was like waking up his family in the middle of the night and being like, "We got to go. They're coming for us." And then he would drive them hours and hours away in the middle of the night and shit like that. And that was 4 years ago, guy, or 4 or 5 years ago. And since
Sounds like
then,
quality time. You sounds
yeah.
like you want to spend time with his family.
Yeah, it's just his version of like an impromptu road trip.
Yeah.
But I mean, just think if this guy was schizophrenic 5 years ago and he's gotten knocked out several times and taken all these beatings and gotten hit in the head 100 times by the
Martian,
Marine.
he's doing Hell Week with David Goggins. We know
That's
he's
another thing.
crazy.
That's a
We
good thing.
know he's
Yeah.
crazy. You telling us the
Well,
obvious.
that's the thing
But
is,
how
okay,
it's gonna help him? How is he gonna defeat Paddy Pimblett?
he's not. He's incapable of stringing together any coherent offense or game plan, or he might have a moment. Like he had a moment where he knocked down for Chandler, and then he had a moment where he knocked down Bobby Green. What did he do with it? He did fucking nothing. He has no idea how to follow up anymore. Like he's truly lost out there. He is truly we have witnessed him lose his mind in real time, and I hope Paddy Pimblett knocks him out and I
How
mean,
many in a
if
row?
not
How many in a row would that be lost for Tony
7,
and
it
Paddy?
would tie a record for BJ Penn of the most losses in history. So
Oh shit! It would tie BJ. Damn, that's
I enjoyed that one too. Seeing BJ Penn's delusional ass out in Hawaii running for like
you know.
government positions that don't
All
even
right, all
exist.
right, all right, all
I
right,
would
all
love to
right, all
see that.
right, all
So
right, all
yeah,
right.
Patty by knockout is the pick.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, amazing fight. I disappointed that we've not been able to see Patty for 12 months now. I'm not sure why that was. I know he had that injury after the Jared Gordon fight, but I heard also on Embedded, I think he's gonna be a father of twins. Did you hear that, Martian?
To
Or did
Who
you
is
hear that?
Tony is?
No,
No,
not Tony. Relax, take
Patty,
it
yeah.
easy.
Yeah,
Yo, take
his
it
wife
easy,
probably
Martian.
wants
You
nothing
really
to do
hate
with
Tony that bad. But yeah, Patty, what do you think about that? Patty being a dad to twins.
it. Yeah, I mean, the guy, shoots loads. He looks like a guy who does.
Lord Jesus Christ. But anyway, so I don't even know why I brought that up.
Yeah.
But that we hadn't seen him for a year. Yes, so maybe now he's gonna get back to working. So with Patty though, I just feel that physically Tony he just doesn't have like he is not able to hurt guys as much or when he's following up like you're saying it's because he's not as quick and like nimble. I kind of saw that more in the Diaz fight, which he just looked like decrepit and old, and he just looked like all his normal movements that beforehand you would think that very looking fluid and this or that, maybe confuse the person that he's kind of throwing them at. Now at this point, they're so much slower that him, being able to do all these kinds of things and throwing this kick and that punch and all these kinds of things, or the grappling especially, is not really going to be a detriment to someone like Patty, who is, I think, versed on the ground. So I actually think that they're probably is there gonna be a finish? I don't know. I feel like Patty will go for some submissions. So it'd either be Tony showing good grappling defense or Patty gets the finish here. So we'll see. But I'll pick Tony to win. Fuck you.
Damn.
Tony round
Um,
two.
I
Let's
will
go.
say, from a betting perspective, though, Tony sub at 1,400 seems like
Yes. Hopefully
his.
they get into like a leg locking duel, like Jamal Emmers versus Pat Sabatini,
But
and
does
Tony
Tony? Do
heel
we
hooks
know?
him.
Does Tony even train MMA anymore? Like, do we know that? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Um, so next fight, last fight on the main card, or first fight on the main card. Vicente Luque taking on Ian Machado. Gary odds for this one. Gary minus 405. Luque plus 305. Your turn to give us your thoughts on this one. Another head case
Yeah.
on the card.
Which one? Which one's the
Uh,
head case? The guy who
The
had a brain injury or the other guy?
no, surprisingly, the other guy.
The other guy, got you. Yeah, so I mean, the Gary, he's swelling to even a bigger favor, right? So he's going over 400 now. And I mean, I would have to think that whatever happened in the trading room between these guys is common knowledge. So I think it's pretty known that Ian Gary would get the better of Vicente Luque. He's just quicker and all these kinds of things. Really, like Vicente Luque, he's probably good in the gym as well when he used to be coming up because he would probably be a go to war guy all the time, but he can't do that as much now. So he probably gets fucked up in the gym, honestly. But he probably performs better in the cage because he's like a guy that he'll throw caution to the wind. So I think it's an interesting fight. I don't think Ian's gonna be able to dominate the leg kick game like he did in the last fight. Vicente looked slower and his hands didn't look as dangerous. Versus RDA, they kind of played a little patty cake there. I didn't love that fight. So I'm gonna pick Ian Gary still to win. But I mean, I could see Ian Gary getting caught. Man, he got caught by Song Kanon with a big shot and put down. And if he's not landing as many leg kicks, I think there ends up being more exchanges. So I kind of think maybe you could play Luque by submission here, but other than that, pass fight for me overall.
Yeah, no bets that I'm really interested in. I haven't spent too much time looking at the lines to this one. I'll be definitely cheering for Luque to pull it off. Just a great historic action fighter, has put together a lot of great fights over the years. Definitely looked a little shop worn lately, but did bounce back with a nice win over RDA in his last one. But I just think that he still looked not so good in that fight. That was just a perplexing fight in all areas. So I do obviously think that Gary is gonna win. I just think that the strikes of his are just gonna be a little too sharp, precise, and quick for Luque, and Luque's head is just not gonna be able to get off the center line. And that's just been a problem throughout his entire career. Is Luque has been in so many wars and he's gotten hit so much, and he's been okay at times with getting hit once or twice to land his own 2 or 3 strikes. But I just think that that style is not aging for him very well, and it's not going to do well against the younger, quicker Gary, who does have very precise striking. Definitely is a sharp striker. And for as annoying of a personality as he is, I do think the guy is a solid fighter. But I just would love to see the guy against a wrestler, man. I mean, how many strikers has he fought in a row lately? I mean,
Tom
I really
Brady?
don't.
Question mark?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll do that though because I think they like Gary too much and they wouldn't do that. But yeah, I
What do you
mean,
think about that fight? What
but
do you think about that fight?
yeah, I would lean Sean's way. I honestly even think Bilal would take him down and grind him out. I think Shavkat would do dirty things to him. Um, so I mean, I don't even think he's really top 5 right now. I really hope they don't somehow launch him into a
Yeah.
title shot if he somehow wins this. But
I
um,
was interested in when I heard someone asked like they're like to Leon Edwards, they said, "Oh, what do you think about Ian Gary?" I'm like, "Is he a threat?" He's like, "Honestly, no." Like skill, and that was like one time where I was like, "He's not talking shit." I definitely think he like believes like he's like, "Dude, I train with this guy. Like this guy's no threat."
well,
Like,
he probably to give him a little credit, he left like 3 years ago, I think, and he's definitely gotten a lot better since then.
no, he
So
was just
um,
training there the other day, bro, when they kicked him out.
no, bro, that was at least like 2 years ago.
No, bro,
It
he
was
got kicked
before
out
the
recent.
UFC.
He got kicked out again recently, bro. He went back to the gym.
I don't think that's
They
the
just
case.
said yes, they did because they said that he had the girl with him, and he definitely didn't have the girl with him. Was married to her 2 years
Bro,
ago,
I don't think he left for America like a while ago, bro. I don't think that's true.
bro. He
Well,
was
I'll look
back
into it.
over there in Europe in between fights.
Not at the
Num
same not at the
numbnuts.
same not the Rocky Edwards gym.
He was, bro. He definitely was there recently, and that's when they had
No,
the. Why do you think that interaction came up? That you think they were talking about?
because
Oh,
they're on the
two
same
years ago we
card.
threw him out. No,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
idiot.
No, bro,
No.
it was years ago. It was years ago.
All right, all right.
I'll
Okay.
look it up
All right, go ahead.
in
All
between.
right, please,
But
please do.
I'll go Gary decision. How do you think it's gonna go?
Ian Gary decision, sure.
Yeah. All right. Prelim fight next. First fight or last fight in the prelims. Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell. Kind of a late notice fight here. Supposed to be Mitchell versus who? Um,
Mitchell it was supposed to be Emmett versus Giga.
Right, right. Okay. So Mitchell's the one taking it on short notice, and he is still the favorite, coming in here at minus 230. Josh Emmett plus 195. I bet against Mitchell in the last one with Ige. I don't regret that bet at all. I think it was, a razor close fight that Bryce Mitchell really pulled away at key times of the fight. But Ige was doing well. He was landing big shots. He was busting them up on the feet because Mitchell's boxing defense is not very good. And as long as this stays on the feet, Emmett probably will give him some trouble. But I just think Bryce is going to find a way to get the fight to the floor at opportunistic times, just like he did last time. I mean, that takedown that he landed in round 2 versus Dan Ige was incredible. I remember him being like a plus 250 dog live, and then he gets that one body lock takedown, lands right in the mount, and then boom, he was a huge favorite. He totally, saved the fight for him at that key moment. And, it was impressive. As much as I am not a fan of the guy, I do think he'll land some takedowns here. But short notice, near 70% favorite over a stud like Emmett, who comes from a wrestling background, who has had pretty good takedown defense, and is a good boxer with heavy hands. I definitely think it's Emmett or pass here, but I will not get around to a bet. But I wish Emmett the best, and I hope he knocks Bryce's head off. So, what are your thoughts here?
Hmm, interesting. So this is one fight where I can confirm how action on the Bryce Mitchell side. So it opened like minus like 150, 60, something like that. Went down 40 range and then taken off like a rocket ship. Don't like that. I think there's too much juice, but I'm trying to think about, hey, third fight for Emmett this year. He did get hurt a bit in both of them, right? Especially in the Topuria fight. Coming back here now against a grappler where we really haven't seen Josh Emmett on his back too much. I think he exchanged some positions with Dan Ige, Bektik, or no, Bektik didn't get in on his legs, but that was mostly it. He's been mostly the best wrestler, better wrestler, able to stay up on the feet. But his speed, I think, looked regressed in both the Yair fight and the Topuria fight. And honestly, the way that he got triangled against Yair looked pretty pathetic. So as much as I think he is live here, I feel that I'm gonna think about this more, and I think I might let it just inflate a little bit more because he does throw some good hands, and Bryce Mitchell in the bigger cage, maybe he has a harder time getting to like when he was going against Ige, he would follow up his takedowns really well. But I feel like if he had to do the initial takedown part more times, he might get fatigued on doing that and then get hit by a better striker than Ige and what I would consider Emmett. So I'm leaning towards the Emmett pick or a Emmett bet, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, who was the last guy who really tried to take Emmett down?
Nurstock or Dan Ige tried.
Taporia landed 3 takedowns, 3 of 3, didn't only control them for 3 minutes. Yeah, Ige, I think he did well dealing with the takedowns versus Ige. But yeah, he hasn't fought many wrestlers in his run, and it's been a while, so I feel like it's kind of unknown how Josh Emmett's takedown defense is gonna look, but that's a good point about him taking a lot of damage this year. I mean, Taporia beat the living shit out of him in that fight, and that was less than 6 months ago, so um, enough about that one. We're moving on to women's fight. First one for us, bantamweight division, Irina Aldana, Carol Hosa. And we have Aldana here as the favorite, minus 185. Hosa plus 160. Give us your thoughts on the first women's fight on the card.
Banger, right? Mexico versus Brazil, heated rivalry. And in this rivalry, I will be going on the side of Carol. Who, Marcia?
Hosa.
Carol Hosa. So going Carol Hosa here, in my opinion, obviously she's objectively the younger girl. She has the better ground game, in my opinion. Better MMA game overall, more fight experience, has been more active. And just the volume. just after seeing Irina Aldana's last fight, it was just a stupid fight. She shouldn't have even been there, but she just didn't really do anything. And Kara Hossa, she does a lot of things, not that well, but she just keeps doing stuff. Like this girl won't stop. I think even though and she's shown a good chin. Like she gets hit, and Irina Aldana, she's got some power, but Hossa's never been finished by knockout. Is women's MMA. She's 11-3 in decisions. She's born in 1994, so her birthday's in 2 weeks. I feel a lot of good energy going towards the Kara Hossa side, and hopefully both these women make weight because Kara Hossa's last fight was at 145, I believe. But yeah, I like her. So as an underdog, I'm definitely riding with her.
Um, to retreat a little bit, I can't find a definitive answer, but I'm leaning towards you being right about Gary training at Edwards Gym more recently
That's
than I
right.
expected.
That's right.
So
That's right.
um not confirming it, but I believe you are right.
Okay.
So I also will be on the Hosa side here. Slow starter.
Keep agreeing with me. Keep
I could
agreeing with me.
see I could see Aldana landing some strikes early on because Hosa, I mean, she just had a slow start versus Kunitskaya. Um, Rallied back to win the second and third. Had a slow start versus Dumont. Really only got going in the third round there, and I really think she's kind of just letting these fights start too slow, and she needs to get in there and get in her face more. But really, I mean, with Aldana, not a good wrestler, and then once she gets taken down, man, she's a fish on her back. So I really think if Hosa gets one takedown, boom, that's the round. That means she's up either 1-0 or 1-1 or. I just think that a takedown is a potentially round-winning moment for Hosa here, and I think that she's not going to
Just
be
watch the up
totally.
kick to the liver. Just watch
Right,
the up kick.
exactly. That's the shot that saved her. That basically got her a title shot. She was 1 minute away from being 29-28 by Macy Chiasson. Lands an up kick to the liver, gets a title shot. That's women's MMA for you. So I don't think Hosa will be out of the fight when it's standing. I think she'll be outmatched, but I just think she needs to get in Aldana's face, spam some strikes, try to get this fight to the cage and land a fucking takedown. I really think it's as simple as, going for takedowns. And if Hosa comes in with the right game plan to wrestle, I think she's going to look like the side easily. So smaller bet for me, only 3/4 of a unit, but I'm in on Hosa here. That's going to
Let's
take us
go.
to the next fight in the bantamweight division, men's division. Former champion Cody Garbrandt taking on Brian Boom Kelleher. Odds for this one: Garbrandt -190, Kelleher +165. So Garbrandt did get back in the win column in his last fight versus Trevin Jones. Very measured, boring approach where he was just retreating a lot. He was sticking and moving. He seemed to be finally aware that his chin is terrible. He needs to stop exchanging in the pocket. And for the first time in years, he showed like he had like a decent game plan and he fought okay. But then in the third round, I mean, he just was running away, not really doing much. Eventually got taken down by uh by Trevin Jones there and lost the
He
third
almost
round
got
pretty
pounded
clearly.
out, dude. He almost
Yeah.
got pounded out by Trevor Jones.
It just made me think that if Jones upped the aggression early in that fight, he really could have taken that one. And I think Brian Kelleher is going to do a little bit better than that. I think he's going to throw more punches than Trevin Jones did. I think he's going to possibly look to take the fight to the floor more often than Jones did. And, Cody comes from a wrestling background and did at one point have good takedown defense, but it certainly didn't look like it versus Trevin Jones in that one takedown we saw. So I think Boom just needs to be active in there, kind of similar to Rosa, man. Just get in there, don't be scared, and let your opponent, lands just the better strikes and outbox you. Just make it ugly, throw a lot of punches, mix in some takedowns, and try to win the fight on activity. So with Cody, also looking to jab and run away a little bit more, the no scorecards prop seems good for Kelleher here because I don't think that Cody's like looking to sit down on his punches at this
Ooh,
point in
that
his
I would
career.
love to kill. Well, come on, please. Come on, Martian. That's what we want to see, dude. We want to see Pedro Munoz basically Cody
Yeah,
Garbrandt right here. That's
that
what we
was
want.
good. We need
That's
yeah.
what we
So boom,
want.
boom, no scorecards, and I'm in for boom money line for 1 unit
I
too.
want these this might be combined the shortest reach of a men's MMA fight ever, right?
There's no that one dude in flyweight has like a 59-inch reach or something, doesn't he?
Oh,
Some
damn.
short-armed little Jesus Aguilar, the guy's name I think is. But,
Yeah,
go
and
on.
Ross and Shannon Ross, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's my turn. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not really sure about this fight honestly because I didn't look into what Boom Kelleher's been doing since he got the surgery and then where he trained at. That would be not that it's super important to me, but I'm just curious. Was he training in around here in New York? Did he go somewhere else where he did the rehab afterwards and something like that? But Cody, I don't like what I've seen from Cody Garbrandt. He moves a lot worse. He doesn't really have a lot of offense in kind of like the in between areas, and he's like very much slanted and tilted towards basically brawling. And when he's not brawling, I don't really think he's that effective of a fighter. So I want to see that, dude. So this is gonna be my just observed fight of the night. Um, so yeah, I pass on it though for sure, completely.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that style working against Boom where he's being elusive and hitting them, but it's just inherently very thin margin. I mean, he only landed like 30 significant strikes
It was
versus
a
Trevor
horrible fight.
Jones.
It was a horrible
Yeah,
fight.
it was terrible. And I get the over seems good, but I imagine, guys, if Boom Kelleher goes in there and Rock'em Sock'em Robots and knocks Cody out, how dumb would you feel if you bet the over? I think the better bet is Kelleher money line. And also, I think I'm thinking about this fight. I'm thinking about it on like a higher level here. So Brian Kelleher's past two opponents were dark horses: Umar Nurmagomedov, Mario Bautista, two studs, tough fights. They both took him down. They both submitted him. I mean, I feel like this fight, he's fighting Cody, former champion, on a main card or on a
Mhm.
pay per view card. He's
Mhm.
not going to try to take him down. I just feel like this is like a good motivational get back spot for Brian Kelleher where he knows that this is not as dangerous of a fight for him. He's not going to fight a guy who's going to take him down and submit him, and he's got an opponent with a good name value and that can really boost his career a little bit. So
Inside the distance, Ryan Kelleher.
yeah, I think yeah,
Run it.
knockout. So next fight is a women's fight that I'm interested in. Flyweight division King Casey O'Neill. Oh, that's her name, right? King Casey O'Neill versus Ariana Lipski. Is she the elbow queen? That's her name, Queen of Violence. So wow, we got the Queen of Violence versus the King here. Um, so I'm going with the Queen, the underdog, the Brazilian,
Wow.
Ariane
Wow.
Lipski,
You're
because
you gender traitor. You gender traitor.
well, the
Okay.
thing is, so
Let's see.
my boy Joseph Coco is a big fan of Casey O'Neill, and she's a nice lady. She really is. She's has genuine interactions with her fans and has had some good moments for us and some of our
Her
friends.
feet look
Um,
good. Her feet look good.
yeah, I don't know about those personally, but I would imagine so. And so Casey's cool. However, I just think that her fighting style is a little bit of just, kind of spamming strikes out there. I don't think she has a whole lot of thought behind her strikes. And same with her wrestling. I think um, she doesn't really set up her takedowns too well. So I think when this stays in the feet, I think that those kind of loopy and noodly strikes of O'Neal aren't going to be working against Lipski, who I think is the sharper striker of the two. And I think when they tie up in the clinch and O'Neal's going for takedowns, I think Lipski has become much better at dealing with takedowns, at stuffing takedowns, landing some clinch strikes, maybe getting off her back a time or two. And she's fought two good fighters in a row, Melissa Gatto and JJ Aldrich, and won those fights pretty clearly, in my opinion. I mean, the Aldrich fight was a complete shutout for Lipski and as a huge underdog in that one. So, and the Gatto fight I think was good too with her dealing with the wrestler. So I like Lipski in this fight for one unit, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Sorry, I think I was on mute. Um, yeah, so this is actually a compelling 125 fight. Ariane Lipski, like you said, we've covered her numerous times because, on this fine program, we don't only do the main card or skip the prelims. We do all the fights. So obviously, Ariane Lipski, we're very familiar with her and our listeners are as well. So we've backed her a few times, like you said. against Mandy Baum, and she's collected some UFC experience, and she's now here on her like this rise, of part of her career where she's on, I think, what, like a 2 or 3 fight winning streak now, I guess. Casey, after her last or after her knee surgery, she didn't look good against Jennifer Maia. But the worst thing was that she didn't really look to get takedowns or sell out on the wrestling ability.
Mm.
And although I like to get the girl with the better grappling game, uh, um, especially when I'm betting on women's MMA, if one, you're not going to push it, and maybe because it's stalling out, maybe you're kind of getting to the level where the other girls are competent enough. But if that's just not going to be embedded in her game plan, then I don't really think that she's a favorite, has a favorite kind of style of game or physicality or anything like that. So I also have Ariane Lipski here, and that is, I could tell you, that's a sharp pick for sure this week. So we'll see how we do with that. But yeah, Ariane
One thing
Lipski by decision for
I'm
me.
worried about I'm worried about is Casey's, MMA judging, never good, especially with women, and with Casey's style, like,
What
I
do
feel
women
like
have to do?
she does have, a decent, like, floor for being in a striking fight just because you know that she's gonna throw so many strikes out there. I mean, Jennifer Maia was boxing her ass off the entire fight, but she still according to the stats here, she still landed 43, 47, 47 strikes per round. I don't know where they got those numbers from.
Ariane Lipski hits way harder than both of those girls.
I mean, Jennifer Meyer sits down on her punches, and she has
If you
good.
look at
Good.
Ariane Lipski, definitely hits harder than Jennifer Maia, I would say, dude.
I don't know. I don't
He
know
has
about
more
that one.
finishes, I would guarantee.
I don't know,
Okay, I know you don't know.
but I mean, yeah, but bro, Jennifer Maya is a sturdy woman. She's got her feet planted to the ground. She
Ariane
torques them.
Lipski cracks, bro.
Yeah, I don't think she hits soft, but I think that I don't know about that one, but so yeah, I hope that Casey doesn't volume spam her way to a decision here. So that's going to move us to the light heavyweight division. We have Alonzo Menifield taking on Dustin Jacoby. The odds for this one have Jacoby pretty juiced here, up at to minus 300 right now. Menifield plus 250. So pretty crazy line. Not often you see Jacoby as minus 300. I'm interested to see if you have any interest in the dog here, because I'm sure that you have no interest at minus 300 Jacoby.
Yeah, 100%. Like you're saying, the odds definitely took off here. So, Jacoby, he has a pretty well developed game overall. In terms of he's improved his like wrestling and grappling as his fight career has gone on, but he still has the pedigree of a glory kickboxer. Um, and he's fighting a guy in Menifield who has traditionally, people have kind of thought of him as like a brawler, a banger, things like that. But he has also showed some takedowns. I guess training with Pat Barry, they focus on their ground and pound and their ground game there. So honestly, I couldn't pick Jacoby. I mean, I couldn't bet Jacoby here for sure because Alonzo Menifield, the way to take advantage of him is kind of tiring him out or um, taking him down, I would say, like being the better grappler. But I don't know if Jacoby's really going to look to implement the grappling. He's probably going to say, hey, I'm going to be able to, I'm quicker than him. I'm going to be able to, I have a big reach. I think I don't think he has a reach advantage, but he's a big light heavyweight. I'm going to see everything coming. I'm going to counter him and I'm gonna look to knock this guy out like he has his last few opponents. So I think that's his game plan. So I wouldn't want to invest in him at that game plan, given that, even though he is good. But I did capture him last time. I think you were on Kennedy, right? Yeah, I think you were.
Yep.
And yeah, you were. So I had Jacoby there, Jacoby by knockout. Here, I think he could do it again, and I would probably lean towards the under because I think he's coming in here to make a statement. But this is another fight I'm definitely passing on for sure. But I
Yeah.
would it would be Menifield or pass for me at the betting line.
Definitely would be Menifield or pass, and I won't waste too much time because I inevitably and don't think I'll be making a wager. But I just have some questions about Jacoby's work rate, and you theoretically he should have the better cardio here, but he has had that advantage in several of his fights lately, and has kind of underwhelmed. And I just think, he's so heavy on his lead leg. He's not a particularly great, wrestler. And I just think that this is a dangerous fight, and I don't think he's going to really pull away like people expect him to. And his KO line is like, isn't it juiced? No, 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 not quite. It's plus 185, but
Stop
so yeah,
accusing him. Stop accusing him of
yeah.
all that, bro. You don't
I
do
think
that.
this one. I mean, I think Menifield is just dangerous. He's black explosive. I think he could have a big moment in the first round here with a takedown or a punch or something like that. So I definitely think it's Menifield or pass. And I think if you get in on him early, I think he's definitely going to have a moment. If he has a moment here, it's going to be early. He's not going to like come back and win his way into the fight. I think.
I'm taking two and a half under at
Mm.
Pick'em.
Interesting. I think I would be maybe looking for yeah, just Menifield before the fight and then maybe look for Jacoby live. If he gets to the
Under.
second round, if Jacoby gets to the second round, I think he will be pretty safe, but just this minus 300 juice on him is no bueno. That's going to
Under two and a half.
move us to the flyweight division. We have the All-American wrestler Cody Durden taking on Tagir Ulanbekov. Odds to this one have Tagir minus 170, Durden plus 145. I got my boy Cody Durden here. This guy is just perennially underrated. I think he's won what 3 straight fights in a row as a dog. Yeah, I mean, and the JP Buys fight was a pick'em. So I just think this guy is underrated in the market and consistently, 3 unanimous decisions and a knockout. 3 of those is a dog. And not some of those he was like plus 175, 185. And this guy just keeps finding a way to grind out fights. I mean, he's had issues with cardio at times early in his career, but I think he's consistently getting better out there. I think we've really seen Cody get better in front of our eyes over the past 2 years. While Tagir Ulanbekov, have we really seen the guy get any better? I don't. I think his best win was the Bruno Silva fight over 3 years ago, and the Nascimento fight was a boring lamprey. Tim Elliott out hustled him to a decision, and then he choked Nate Maness out in 60 seconds. So we really haven't seen anything impressive from the guy in the past 3 years, and I just think his style, considering that the Elliott fight where Elliott was able to take him down and to wear on him and to grind on him against the cage. I think Cody's going to do the same, and I think Tagir is going to give him some trouble at range, but Cody's not going to keep it there. He's going to get the fight to the floor. He's going to grind this one out, and he might be in a trouble with a submission or two at times, but we've seen him battle through that. Jake Hadley had him in a nasty armbar. It looked like he was going to tap, and Cody Durden escaped that shit and beat him up the next round. So Durden's just got that dog in him, that All-American wrestling, and I think he's going to grind Tagir out here to a 29-28 decision victory as the dog for the 4th time in a row.
So you got to bet in on Durden. What price?
145, I think maybe 145. Yes, 1 unit.
Okay. And that is right now. I'm looking right now. It is still 145. Yeah. So I mean, I like Cody Durden in this fight as well. And the only thing is, though, I would say that I don't mind the price right now. I think is good. Like getting anything around there. But my one issue is that I feel like Tagir is definitely a threat to come in heavy, bro. And Durden's not taking the fucking fight. So and I honestly I would not want to bet if Tagir comes in at like 129, 128, I don't want the Durden ticket, dude, because a big part of the reason I like Durden here in this fight is because, like you said, his submission defense, the guy is tough, dude. And he's been through a lot of tests. Like I said, he's fought Makayev, right? Another kind of like Russian wrestler and stuff like that. But he's fought, a nice diet of guys in the UFC. And these dudes like Tagir, I like fading them because he's come into UFC and I've not been really impressed by the guy at all. And I feel like sometimes these Khabib dudes, they just be fighting like what's his name? Abdak what's his cousin's name? The guy that
Abdul
fought.
Bakar,
Yeah, like I feel like a few of these guys and the other guy, the 145er or I forget his
Zubaira.
Zubaira. I feel like some of these guys they just fight for fucking fun, dude, and just to be around and be like, hey, I'm training with you guys, so I might as
Peer
well fight.
pressure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like Tagir, dude, this dude Tagir is not getting a belt, dude, or nothing like that. So I gotta fade him here. I gotta fade him in these opportunities. But I just don't like the fact that I think he's gonna come cheating in here because I think he's weak in these third rounds. And my boy Cody, he be building. He builds on in these fights. He looks better in the second and third rounds. And he's hitting his stride. So I'm riding with Cody Durden as well.
I think didn't he win the third versus Elliott, and then he dropped the first two, if I'm correct?
I don't know.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure, but, let's see. Yeah, Elliott won the first 2 unanimous. That was fun to see to see Khabib pissed off about that decision. Um, Next one, featherweight fight here. One of my favorite fighters in the roster, Andre Touchy Fili taking on Lucas Almeida. Odds for this one have Andre -170, Almeida +145. Your turn to start this one off.
Given so this is a fight given excuse me, given it's like a fresh matchup because Lucas Almeida, even though he came off contender, excuse me, he fought Trezano and then Pat, two very different fighters. I would say that Fili is more like Trezano, but more experienced, has like that sharp jab. I'm not confident enough in Fili to lay the chalk on him, but I would just think that this fight ends up being competitive. Fili is a lot older. He's taken a lot more punches of late and stuff like that. He got knocked out by Brito. So I wouldn't really want to invest in him at chalk, and I don't really have an opinion on the total either. What do you think?
I like this fight. I think it's a tough fight for Fili, but it's going to test them and it's going to produce an entertaining fight. It's a shame that the fight of the night awards and everything typically go to like whatever is the best fight on the main card because I think this one's got fight of the night potential. These guys are gonna box each other's faces off in the first round, and I'm worried about Fili in the first round because he's been getting clocked lately. Wood dropped him in the first round. Brito knocked him out in the first round. And I just feel that Almeida's style, this guy is absolutely uncorking left hooks. I mean, he throws 110% power in all his shots. And I think that's a little bit of his detriment because I think that once that those big bursts of power kind of go away, he doesn't really know how to fight at more of a measured pace. And I think that if Almeida is not able to knock out Fili in the first round here, if it gets to the second and third round, I think Fili's going to take over on experience. I mean, the difference in UFC experience is crazy here. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but I would bet that Andre Fili's got 3 hours in the UFC cage compared to Almeida, who's maybe barely got 30 minutes, right? Yeah, that less than 30 minutes. Even if you count his Zellhuber decision fight, we're still, talking barely 30 minutes in the UFC cage. So I could see this one being, a wild competitive banger early on. I could see Almeida landing that left hook and maybe giving Fili some trouble. But I think inevitably Fili will weather the storm, make it out of that first round, and then use his experience to take this one into the deep waters and to take over late. Also, I mean, Lucas Almeida is just a bad defensive wrestler, and Fili has an explosive double leg takedown. He doesn't keep opponents down often. But he does know how to time a good takedown at important times of the fight. So if Almeida is really swarming him, you will see him go to that double leg takedown. You saw that in the Sadiq Youssef fight when they were banging it out at times in that fight. We saw Andre Fili explode with a double leg takedown and kind of relieve the pressure a little bit at times and allow him to reset and to get back into his rhythm. So uh, I think that Fili's jab, his head kick, his leg kicks will take over here. I just think he's the sharper, more precise and direct striker of the two, and that will win him the fight in the long run. So look for Andre Fili live. Almeida's best moment will be in round one, and I'll be looking to jump in on Fili's live number here. Next fight is a heavyweight fight between Shamil Gaziev making his UFC debut, taking on Martin Buddy Buday here in the heavyweight division. The odds for this one, Buday -135, Gaziev plus 115. So all the action is coming in on Gaziev here. Buday was -185, I believe, to start fight week. And steady action on Gaziev here. I'm on Buddy, man. I think that we have a much, much better idea of the quality fighter Buddy is than vice versa here. I mean, we've seen Buddy put in multiple decisions in the UFC, fought in a different level of competition. We've seen him fight some bums. We've seen him fight some okay guys. He hasn't really fought anybody really good yet, but I'm not convinced at all that Gaziev is good. I mean, if you look Gaziev's record, he's fought, two or three decent opponents, Krill, Darko, Velasco, but a lot of his other wins are over complete cans. And the Krill fight, he took him down in round one. And in round two and three, he barely had anything left in the tank. He was kind of just attempting takedowns, failing them, leaning on him against the cage. And Krill really couldn't escape the that control against the cage, but I think Buday will. Buday is comfortable in the clinch against the cage in that grindy, ugly fight that we've seen him in a few times in the UFC, and I think that that's what this fight's gonna boil down to. Is it's gonna be a sloppy back and forth grinding cage wrestling fight in the second and third round, and I just trust Buday a lot better at that range. And Gaziev's punches, man, these guys are weird. I mean, his hands, it seems like they never go above like his pecs, like his shoulders. Like his hands are never at his chin. He's just throwing these punches from the hip, and his hands are coming right back down to his hip. Just really, really weird striking style of Gaziev. So I think this guy's a gasser. I think that in the second and third round, Budai's got the much better cardio and pace, much more proven of the two. And I think that um, outside of a round one finish, the Gaziev's drawn pretty thin here. So if I were Gaziev, I would go for it in round one and try to score a knockout because I think a longer fight will not favor him and he will lose that one. So, yeah, interested to hear your thoughts on the
Best
one and
bet.
only heavyweight fight.
Best bet. Best
Yeah,
bet.
I'm in on
Martin
him. Minus
Buday.
140, minus 143 for me. So
Buddy Buddha. Buddy fights, we bet on Buddy. And I think I learned that I don't think I ever went against Buddy. I think some other people at some different points have gone against Buddy. But now people know after his last performance, after his finishes, and just when you think about the heavyweight, when you see Buddy Buday compete, and then you think about the heavyweight division, you come to a chilling, gripping fact that Buddy Buday is a fucking problem. And as much as the Gaziev guy can look Shamil, look ominous, look like a movie character, like I don't even know what he was starring, but he looks like a guy in like John Wick that would get killed. And he's just not gonna have the gas, I don't think, to put Buddy down and then be able to effectively hold him down and damage him. And then as Buddy his world class cardio is gonna shine through. His engine will only be further showcased by how much slower Shamil will be getting, and we might pick up a late finish here as well. So but the money line, I'm going minus 135 on Buddy Boudet. Should be an easy victory, honestly. And yeah, let's get some inside the distance, hopefully.
yeah, the round two, 600, round three, 800, not too good. Hopefully those open up a little bit better on FanDuel in the coming
Best
days.
bet of the night, Buddy Budai.
Gaziev looks like a bouncer at like a club who like knocks out like smaller drunk guys and like gives them brain
He
damage.
reminds me of like a guy that will be on Barry. Now that's what like one of those,
Yeah, there you go. That's
like
a good one.
the
Like one of the
Chechens, this or
yeah, yeah,
that. Yes, exactly, bro.
that's
Like
a good
one of the
good
uncles
comparison.
or some shit like that. That's what he looks like. I love that shit.
And Buddy just looks like a nice guy. Looks like a guy
Buddy's
who
the
would
man.
be making like, cabbage and pierogies on the side of the road or
Buddy is low key athletic too. He is low key athletic.
and the last fight on the card, Queen's own Randy Brown kicking off the
Let's
UFC
go.
card. I mean, the guy's got like 15 UFC fights, and they're still making him kick off the UFC card. In the
It's great.
welterweight
Love
division,
that.
Randy Brown versus Muslim-Salikhov. Odds for this one, Rude Boy minus 260 with what's this guy like the Kung Fu Karate Master or something? The
The
King
king
of
of
Kung
kung fu, I
Fu.
think.
That's a good
Yeah.
nickname. He is the dog at plus 220. So, your turn to start this one off. Last fight on the card for us.
Yeah, pretty high level fight, even though it's like you said, the first fight of the night. Randy Brown's not grown up in the UFC, right? He went to the Ring of Combat, but a lot of his professional experiences coming to UFC. He's proven to be, a tough out. He's well rounded. He's got that long jab, long attributes, and he continues to get better. He's training now. I know his jujitsu, working on it along with his wrestling, and his conditioning, I think, always looks pretty solid. He puts up a good work rate, and I think that he has a lot of tools along with the youth to take out a guy like Muslim Salikov, who I thought looked a lot pretty diminished against Dolby. And apart from landing one of his big strikes, which the guy is the king of kung fu, and a potent striker, and very very talented. But unless he kind of lands one of his big spinning kicks, or a big right hand on Randy or something like that, I just feel that the jab of Randy will really bother Muslim. Will he throws to the body as well, throws a lot of good front kicks and body strikes. At times I think he knocked out Brian Barberena, I think, with a body kick, teep to the body. And yeah, I just like his overall makeup as a MMA fighter. So as long as he can avoid getting hit with a big shot, I think he should sail to victory. And even if you get close to like 250, I wouldn't mind him as a parlay piece compared to some other fights on the card. So I like Randy Brown here for sure, though.
Yeah, you brought up a good point before we started recording. You just said there's no way Muslim Salikhov is getting any better, and that's completely true. I mean, the guy is 38 years old, right? 39 actually, and there's just no way that this guy is like improving at this rate. He's not getting any better. He's not adding any layers to his game. He is the fighter that he is. And Randy Brown, who is, a bit flawed, and I think he's a little bit of an underperformer at times, but the guy's still got a much, much higher ceiling and has had a pretty solid UFC career for the most part. 6-3, and had some close decisions go his way, but I think he's, got some solid wins on his record, just a lot of guys, pretty much all of his UFC wins, I think, are pretty solid. So, uh, and I think he will win this fight here. I would be looking for a live bet because the money line too juice for me. I don't like it. Maybe Muslim can have a big moment in round one here. And I think that's going to be very correlated to his success because, as you mentioned, the Dalby fight just, hit a wall 7, 8 minutes in that fight. Just same with Jing Liang. One round one off Jing Liang. It seems like in round two, this guy is completely fading and he just can't fight past 7 or 8 minutes anymore. So I would be looking to fight before the fight, look to play some sort of round two, round three Brown variant, maybe Brown round two, round three sub, and then maybe look to get in on Brown round one, hoping Muslim has a big moment in the first here. So I think you're pretty on point with everything there. That is going to do it for this card. That is going to do it for this year. We broke down every single card. I think you maybe missed maybe one or two episodes. But, for the most part, we've been breaking down every single fight throughout the entire year, trying to give you guys some good bets, introducing the FMK segment, which, 99% of people except from some asshole from New Jersey, everyone's liking it. So we're going to wrap things up with one more FMK segment. And that'll be it for the year of 2023 for us, Ozzy. So I got you some lines right off the bat, some enticing bets for you. This is going to be a challenging one for you. Okay, so I'm going to give you three underdogs, three money lines. First things first. Brian Boom Kelleher plus 165. Ariana Queen of Lipsky plus 165 as well. Last but not least, Colby Chaos Covington plus 145. So all three dogs right in the same price range. Give us your thoughts on which one you're effing, M'ing, and K'ing.
My bad. My bad. Yeah, I was muted. Yeah, I wasn't muted, and then I muted myself. So yeah, so I'm gonna the first one was Brian Kelleher, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna fuck Kobe Covington. I think he's as an underdog bet, like him a lot. I think he's gonna do his thing, but his main event variance, whatever. I'm gonna marry Ariane Lipsky, the queen. Every queen needs a king, and I'm riding this resurgence from Ariane Lipsky straight to the bank. And then I'm gonna kill Brian Boom Kelleher. Unfortunately, I don't think I think he might lose that fight. Anyway, so let me come back right at you, Martian. So first, I'm gonna give you Andre Fili minus 170. Secondly, I'm gonna give you Martin Budai minus 135, and then last, Carol Holsa plus 160. FMK, go.
Nice. Okay. Well, I will be. I'm actually. That's a good one. A good one. Tough, but I feel good about these ones. I'll be starting things off with Marion the big man, Marion Budai. Martin Buddy Budai. I like him in this fight. I think I'm getting a little bit of fraud vibes from Gaziev, honestly. So I'll be Marion Budai. Um, I will be killing my boy, one of my favorite fighters in all the UFC. I'm killing him, unfortunately, just because I think he's gonna struggle early on and rally late in the fight, killing Andre Fili, which leads me to fuck Carol Hosa. She might not enjoy it too much because she doesn't swing that way. But I'll do my best Denise Gomes impression, and I'll try to satisfy her in any way I can. So I'm fucking Hosa, and
Sweet.
that is gonna do it for us. We'll give you guys like a recap of how we did
Mm.
at the end of the next episode. We still got one event left. I think there's a rising card to end the year, but not too much MMA in these last 2 weeks. So, hope everyone
What do you
enjoys.
mean? There's no events left. This is the last event.
Yeah, I'm saying like there's no like there's like Cage Warriors, but there's not much like regionally stuff going on either. I don't believe either. There's LFA. It looks
Mhm.
like um
The people want a
CFFC.
they want a Christmas. You want the people want a TBD. The people want a Christmas episode. But yeah, we can end it now.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you to everyone for listening throughout the year. Hope you're all able to win some bets and enjoy the podcast. We will see you all before the next UFC card in the year 2024. Peace out, everyone.